Oh, folks, it is Football Manager feature reveal time again. This time from a Premier Inn car park down in Folkestone, because I am on my way to Disneyland. I pulled into the car park here as I got the notification through on my phone. I have no idea what the latest feature announcement is. It could be one of the three that's coming out this week. You already know from the title and the thumbnail. Let's not waffle about it anymore. Let's get in and have a little look. So it looks like they're doing them in order according to the roadmap, because looking at the website, it is individual player targets and interaction logic, which if we go back to the roadmap for a second, just to give you an idea of what else is coming this week, we've already had those first two, the smarter transfers, the intermediaries. Today, we've got individual player targets, and also this week we're going to be having truer football motion and the long-awaited set pieces refresh. So I will have videos for those this week as well. Be aware, as mentioned, I am on my way to Disneyland. I will be there tomorrow, so if and when those features drop, don't necessarily expect the videos to hit dead on 4 or 5 o'clock. Obviously today's announcement didn't even come out until 5 o'clock. Big thank you for that, Football Manager, but I will try and get you the news just as soon as I can get it recorded wherever I am and uploaded, depending on how French internet is. So let's go through this, have a look to see what they've got to say. Same rules as with the previous ones. I'm going to read through this, I'm going to react as I go. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts as well, and then we'll all have a jolly good time and make sure that we pre-order Football Manager. Pre-order Football Manager, you say? That's right. If you want a discount on pre-ordering Football Manager, you can use discount code LOLLUJO at Fanatical. The link is at the top of the description down below. That will get you an extra discount. It will be cheaper than it would be if you were to buy on Steam or Epic. At the time of recording, you can get it for £35 and 5 pence using discount code LOLLUJO. It still gets you access to the beta, and yeah, it supports the channel. It's great. Please do that. Link is down there. Let's start reading, shall we? So, whether it's your team scoring for the 10th game in a row, your robust defence keeping another clean sheet, or your top prospect realising their potential, there's nothing more satisfying than watching a plan come together in Football Manager. What on earth is a plan in Football Manager? There can sometimes be bumps on the path to glory, you are telling me. Slumps in form, standards dropping in training, and player unhappiness can derail your plans and force a rethink in your approach. So, in Football Manager 2024, you can now inspire your players to strive for more by setting targets to elevate their performance levels. Alongside this, we've also made changes to the way you interact with your players and staff to ensure your conversations are realistic and constructive. That is so long overdue. If we're actually getting improved interaction with staff, with players, logical conversations that actually make sense, I am very, very excited. So getting into the detail, keep your players hungry with targets. And you can see a couple of examples of targets there. So score 20 goals this season. So we can set these targets for the players. Presumably there's some kind of back and forth negotiation as part of doing that. Let's find out, shall we? So you can incentivise your squad and help players away on loan achieve the best playing time pathway with individual performance targets to get the most out of your players. The areas that can be focused on are training improvements, so new positions, roles, traits, and average ratings in training as well. That's an interesting one. Number of goals, number of assists, number of clean sheets, match performances for the first team or the reserve team. And again, you can see examples of what that might look like there. So assisting 5 goals, achieving an average rating of a certain amount in matches. That's quite cool. I like that. The opportunity to set a target will be available when you praise or criticise a player for their recent performances, when you make a comment to a player leaving on loan, in contract negotiations for new signings and player renewals, or as a way of resolving a player's unhappiness. Bear in mind that both the player and the agent may want to negotiate. So a couple of things to pick out of that. One, doesn't look like we can just do this whenever. There's certain circumstances where we can do this, and it looks like an extension of what we've already got with the player playtime expectations. We already have like contract bonuses for getting certain amounts of goals, clean sheets, that kind of thing. But this is just a way to, I guess, set them on a slightly more regular basis. And like I said before, some negotiation as part of it as well. Really love the fact that there's seagulls making all this noise around me as well. It was either record here or in a dark Premier Inn hotel room. I figured this was the best option. I'm now rethinking my plan. The people around me are very confused about what's going on. When setting a target, the player's personality, their relationship with you, and the context of the situation are also important factors to consider. For example, in those all-important contract discussions, offering a playing time pathway can significantly boost a player's interest in joining your club, but it can be difficult to justify whether your potential signing should be promised a regular spot in a few years. So this is the playing time pathway has been in there for a year or two now. I forget exactly when that was introduced, and I've kind of ignored it. I'm sure a lot of you have kind of ignored it as well. And it looks like similar to a lot of features that Football Manager introduce, they bring them in and you're not really sure why they're there and you're not really use them. And then 2 or 3 updates down the line, they start to become more and more important. It becomes clear why they were added in the first place. It's a very typical Football Manager thing to do. So in FM24, linking closely to a playing time pathway promise, you'll be able to offer a target in the contract negotiation screen. For instance, if a promising striker is asked to be a regular starter as part of their playing time in the 25-26 season, you can now respond with a target for the 24-25 season, which could be goals in league matches. If they were to hit that goal-scoring target, you'd be expected to honour the agreement by making them a regular starter in the following season. I love that. So rather than trying to just guess the future and promise a player that in 3 years you're going to be using them, you can now say, okay, you want to be used in 3 years, that's fine. In order to do that, you need to be a 10-goal a season striker in 2 years. Then I'll play you regularly in 3 years. That is really cool and makes the whole playing time pathway thing a lot more meaningful. When targets have been set, you can track how your players are progressing under the new Targets tab on the home screen, where you'll be able to monitor the players' opinions on their progress. For loan players, any playing time plans or targets will be highlighted in purple to make it clear that these only relate to their loan move and are not specific to your club. So we can set targets for players when they go out on loan as well. So I guess similar idea. If you've got a young player who wants to play in the first team, you can say, right, you're going out on loan for a year. If you score 15 goals or average a 7.1 rating or whatever it might be over the course of this season, then when you come back, you'll be a first team regular. Again, very cool stuff. For players that sign on loan, they may arrive with targets that their own parent club has set, so keeping to the conditions of the loan will help that player meet their own targets. So maybe the days of me signing players, promising them they're going to play and then not playing them may be coming to an end. Your staff can offer advice through staff meetings or inbox items about where they feel it's suitable for you to offer targets to a player. If a player successfully meets their targets, such as scoring more goals, providing more assists, or achieving a strong training rating, you'll be able to congratulate them, but also may have some promises to follow through on, such as offering them a new contract. So make sure you follow through with those to keep your player happy. Love this stuff actually having some meaning. This is some of the stuff that I've said for years, you don't really need to bother with doing because it's pointless. It might not be so pointless anymore. Obviously, we need to see it in action to know for sure, but these are promising signs. On the flip side, if a player fails to hit their target, you'll be notified by your player liaison officer who will explain their reaction to the target failure and who they think is to blame. It's then up to you to decide how to handle the situation. So they could still fail their target and go back and blame me. You didn't score enough goals. You didn't play me enough. I love this. Player interaction is starting to become more and more real. If multiple players fail, you'll be given the option to discuss any outstanding contentious issues directly with these players. This can arise because of any issues the player has with you, which can include game time, like I said before, or any problems a loanee has with their manager. In fail scenarios, a player can respond in different ways. If they came close to completing their target, the player might come back to you and back themselves. The player can also reference other metrics that highlight positive performance levels. For example, while they might not have met the goal scoring target you set, they may have recorded several assists during the period. If this actually works the way they're describing, this is so cool. If injury causes the failure of the target, either at an early stage or at the end, the player will accept that the target couldn't be met at this time. So if you feel your star striker needs a bit more motivation in front of goal, or you want to see your youth prospect make big strides out on loan, targets give you the opportunity to challenge your players as you look to maximise their ability. Really happy with that. That seems like a really cool feature. Moving on from that, better conversations with interaction logic changes. Logic is something that has been a big failing in Football Manager for a long time. If they're making strides towards fixing it, I am happy. It doesn't even need to be perfect this year. I just need to see it improve this year. So, the newly added player targets are part of a wider group of changes to try and make Football Manager 2024 even more immersive than previous versions of the game. And that required some big changes under the hood to how the logic of interactions work. It's not just new interactions added with targets for players or agent interaction. We've also looked at hundreds of other areas of the game where you're having a conversations with your players or their agents to try and make them even more believable. Just believable is a starting point I'd be happy with here. We often speak about how important the suspension of disbelief is to the experience you have when playing Football Manager, and this is very much one of the areas where you can't suspend disbelief because it's nonsense a lot of the time at the moment. And there were times in game where your players may have had an extreme reaction simply because they didn't have options not to. They're acknowledging that it's been nonsense and they're fixing it. Love that. One of the big changes we've made to interactions in FM24 are the improvements to the string severity system. I don't know what that means, which allows each positive or negative AI response to have 3 different varieties of severity with over 2,000 new AI responses. So basically giving them more options. So in those scenarios where they had to respond in a weird way because there wasn't a non-weird way to respond, they've added in loads of extra responses in the hope that there's now a non-weird response they can do. That's only a positive thing. So you'll now witness fewer instances of overly severe and unrealistic responses from players. For example, if your star striker has just single-handedly led your team to victory and you're keen to shower them with praise, they're less likely to react to extremes. Now, positive, neutral and negative reactions of differing levels more accurately reflect their opinion. Good. Increased context for reactions will also be provided where suitable, helping to provide additional reasoning and opportunities to convince them to change their opinion if you're not quite on the same page about a conversation topic. Issues have also been resolved to address instances of unrealistic player unhappiness and providing clearer reasoning beyond their concerns. So, if a player is considering exploring options at the end of their contract, their desires should be made more obvious, be it the lure of continental football or waiting for the club to be promoted. So less random that happening and you not being able to do anything about it. I've had that happen loads this year as well, the exploring options at the end of the contract, and there's literally nothing you can do about it at the moment. So very glad to see that being brought into the game. Elsewhere, requirements for promises are clearer, making it easier for you to see how your players feel about the current progress, such as the promise to strengthen your defence, for example. If you complete a promise earlier, that player will become satisfied, rather than having to wait until the end of the promise date for their happiness to change. That is so long overdue. The amount of times you have stuff like promise them that you'll give them a new contract and then you give them the new contract and you still have to wait a year. Yeah, that's good. That is really good. As a result of this, I mean, I've even had instances where I've had players who I've promised stuff to and the promise expiry date is beyond the expiry date of their contract. So I've not been able to renew their contract because they had an outstanding promise, even though I'd satisfied the terms of the promise, because the promise hadn't that needed fixing and has been. Excellent. As a result of this extensive work, your interactions in FM24 will result in a wider range of more realistic reactions, both from a verbal and body language perspective. Don't really care about the body language stuff. It's another one of those things that I've not really seen it matter yet. Maybe it'll matter now. It probably won't matter still. Ensuring you have truly constructive conversations with the players and staff at your proposal. Next heading, get the key information you need in staff meetings. If they're actually making staff meetings worth doing, yay. It was introduced last year before. I think we all probably did 1 or 2. And then if you're anything like me, they're just automated now. And I just get it through as inbox messages like it was before. I get sent the minutes of the staff meetings. I don't go to the staff meetings myself. Let's see how they've changed them to see if they can convince me to turn up. We've also improved staff meetings in FM24, with them now being more customizable and surfacing the most relevant information you care about. When the meeting agenda arrives, you can now skip individual topics if they're not of interest or relevant to your focus. I skip the whole meeting at the moment. For instance, if you really want to speak to your staff about coaching, but would rather leave recruitment to another week, a new option gives you the opportunity to directly shape the conversation. I'm still feeling like I'm probably not going to go to these meetings. When clicking on meeting preferences, you can now customize the delivery of each staff topic. You'll have the option to include subtopics in meetings, get summaries to your inbox, or skip topics going forward, whatever's important for you. If I can skip stuff like permanently and just have the really important stuff, I wish they'd shut their door. I don't know if you can hear that. Someone's got their door open and it's beeping. Yeah, maybe if I can really customize the meetings so that they actually make sense, maybe I'll do them. I'll give them a try. I'm still not necessarily feeling this as a thing. It feels like an extra, similar to press conferences and the media interaction stuff. It feels like an area of the game that no matter how much fiddling they do with it, they're going to struggle to convince me to not see it as a waste of time. In your meetings, when suggested hires for your backroom staff appear, their club and rating have been removed to show more relevant information. Now you'll see their key attributes for the suggested job role, along with some context as to why they've been recommended. A new pop-up allows you to look at your existing staff members in that role at your club. I mean, that's a nice little quality of life, nice to have feature. I still probably don't care about staff meetings. The other stuff in this feature reveal is good. The staff meeting stuff, Get more from your players and staff. So to summarise, targets, interaction changes and staff meeting enhancements bring you closer to the key people at your club. Realistic conversations help you set important goals for your players and communicate vital information with your staff. And there we have it. More feature drops coming later in the week. As mentioned at the start of the video, this week we've still got truer football motion, match authenticity and positional play, and the set pieces I thought they'd moved the date. No, the set pieces refresh and set pieces coaches debut. They're both coming this week as well. If I had to put money on it, I'd say Wednesday and Friday. Who knows? Like I say, I'll get them to you as quickly as I can, depending on where I am at the time and what I'm doing. I'll tell you this for free. I'm not getting out of the queue for It's a Small World to record a video about set pieces, no matter how excited I am about the set pieces thing. But for now, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you appreciate the effort that goes into doing these while I'm out and about traveling as well. Note for myself, don't go on holiday in September ever again. 'Tis a bad idea. If these are the features that have convinced you to pre-order FM24, don't forget you've got my link at the top of the description below. Discount code LOLLUJO at Fanatical. Cheaper than Steam. Big thumbs up to that. Supports the channel and all that stuff. And let me know down in the comments what you think of these features and which of the features announced so far you're most excited for. Thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out to be the first to find out all this news as it drops. And of course, for the upcoming FM24 content, I am now going to go into this pub and get myself a beverage. Well, I should probably upload this video first. I don't even know what time you're watching this. Let's go see how good the internet is. Toodle pip.